The European Food Safety Authority has decided to ban imports from America, and the imports that they're specifically banning include apples. The reason why is because they have certain strict guidelines when it comes to a chemical known as DPA. So to give you a sense of what they want, any apple with a higher DPA count of 0.1 parts per million is potentially harmful. At least that's what those in Europe believe, and as a result, they're like, look, we don't want to import apples from the United States because their content is actually much higher. The EPA currently allows up to 10 parts per million DPA residues for homegrown apples, which is 100 times that of Europe's regulation. Now, Europe wanted to be open-minded about this. Now, for those of you who don't know what DPA does, it basically helps to preserve the apple for a longer period of time. It prevents it from going brown. And authorities in Europe wanted to see some studies that indicate that it's not going to be potentially harmful to you. It could break down in your body into certain carcinogens that could be harmful, and so they're like, look, just give us some information. As long as you prove that it's not harmful, we will import your apples. Well, they failed to do that. There was only one study done, and the results were not good enough for the authorities in Europe. But what's so amazing about this is our EPA last looked at this issue back in 1998, and they never went back to it. They never wanted more studies, they never wanted more information, and we're just consuming this apple with this product on it, with this residue on it, that could potentially be harmful, could break down into certain carcinogens in our body, but who knows, there isn't enough information. Bon appetit.
Oh, well, we don't know. And we're the EPA, and we just said, okay, all pesticides are okay to use until you tell us otherwise. That's essentially what our EPA does these days and has done with all of the pesticides that are currently on the market today, is that a company has to say, yeah, it's safe, we tested it, it's fine, thanks, and that's it. There's no further testing that's done. And they're trying to change that. A lot of different environmental groups are trying to change that. But with this particular thing, you know, all we're talking about is something that keeps apples from going brown and having spots on them. It's just a cosmetic thing. It doesn't.
So you might get cancer from
it. We're going to give you cancer so that you will buy this apple because it's pretty.
Yes.
You know, and how stupid and American is that?
So that's money over morality. That's what I'm talking about.
Essentially is money over morality,
so,
yeah.
And why is this chemical so important to the apple industry that they would want to put this chemical on it to keep it from going brown? And the reason is because when you go to buy an apple in the store, you know, there's a short growing season for apples, right? It's not 12 months yet. We want apples 12 months around. So they did a study. They wanted to figure out how old their apples were in the supermarket. Apples were 14 months old on average, between 9 and 14 months old. When you go to the supermarket to buy an apple, that thing is almost a year old, if not older. So I stopped eating apples when I read that because they sit in warehouses and they put the wax over them and they put this chemical on them and who knows what else they're putting on them. And so when you're biting into an apple, it's been sitting there for at least 9 months.
I've had apples in my fridge for months without them going bad, and I wonder about it.
And shit on them.
And I stopped eating them too, probably because I wanted chocolate instead, which is why they were in my fridge for months. But yeah, it's true. I was wondering about that. Like, why is it that they can last this long? And it's because they have this residue on them.
Yeah, look, we have a serious fox guarding the hen house situation with the FDA and the EPA and all that. But we do so many things in America backwards. I know we all know about pink slime in the meat. Well, we do it here. It has long since been banned in Europe. So we are just doing things because of the way we are just mass producing everything as quickly and as cheaply as possible. And this just goes to that perfectly.
Well, and Europe is also taken as the European Union, taken as a principle, the precautionary principle, the idea that, no, we're not going to accept this because you say so, you have to prove it. And if there's a question about the safety of any particular product, then you have to prove that it's safe. We're not going to say, like in the United States, oh, you can put it on the market and we'll find out later, you know, if it's safe or not. You know, they say it's not safe, but these other people say it is, so we'll just let the market decide.
Which is ironic, because aren't we starting to do that now with like chickens brought in from China that we're just going to allow to be on our markets, and that's just because they say it's safe.